Oh, Jamar Chase with the dive. Because Garrett Wilson's wide open. Garrett Wilson, touchdown Barrett. Breaking news. We've got breaking news coming out of the NFL. Every single player in the NFL has been replaced with fictional human beings. That is right. There are no more Patrick Mahomes, no more Tom Brady's, no more Dak Prescott's. We've got fake players taking over the league. How is this going to go? Let's find out. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video here on the World of Juice channel. Welcome back to another Madden 23 simulation video. Today we've got something super special. We've got a league full of created players, fictional human beings that have replaced all of your favorite NFL players. No more Justin Jeffersons, no Jalen Hurts, no Patrick Mahomes. Nobody from the real NFL is in this roster. There is no real people, and we are going to find out who the new dynasty can be. I think we'll sim maybe 3 seasons, maybe 4 seasons, depending on what happens. I'm not going to have any control over any of it. Everything is on auto. I am usering the New England Patriots, but I'm not going to have any control over who they sign, who they re-sign, who they draft, trade, whatever. I don't have any control, and we are going to see if there is any other dynasties that can be formed when there's no real NFL players. So I hope you guys are excited for this video. If you have any other suggestions like this, leave them down below in the comments. I'd be happy to put them into a video in the near future. And if you guys are excited, hit that like button, and let's get straight into the new NFL. So here we are. As I mentioned, I am the New England Patriots, but like I said, I have no control over who they sign, who they have on their roster, nothing. No trades, no drafts, nothing. Everything is on auto. So this is what we've got. This is the NFL if we were in an alternate universe and there are no more NFL players that you recognize. This is what the New England Patriots roster picks, and I'm only the New England Patriots because they are my favorite team, so I had to pick a team. I didn't really care who. I just chose the Patriots because they are my favorite. So the Patriots have an 83 overall offense. Their quarterback is a certain man named Jeremiah McClendon, wearing the number 12. That's a choice. All right, Jeremiah, you better live up to that number 12. Okay. Star development player, second-year man from Alabama, 6'6", 232. He's a big boy, and he's wearing the double gloves. I respect it, but he's wearing that number 12, and there's only one man in New England that wears the number 12, so you better live up to those expectations, Jeremiah, or you are going to get run out of this town super fast. Their starting running back is Trey Robinson, a 3-year man from also Alabama, so they've got an Alabama backfield, it looks like. Okay, 82 overall for him. They have a stud receiver, Aaron Servetti from Duquesne? I don't know how to pronounce that college's name. I apologize. I've heard it before, but I don't know how to pronounce it. He's a 6'3", 214 receiver, X-Factor, captain, 98 overall, 99 catching. This man could end up being the reason the Patriots dynasty returns. You never know. The offensive line seems to be okay, nothing special there. But then on the defense, we've got a couple notable names. We've got this man, the free safety, Caton Stephen, from southeastern Louisiana, 35 years old. This man has been around the block, and he is an 87 overall safety, superstar development. And then we've got also a linebacker who is a superstar development player, J.J. Coleman from Furman. 6'3", wearing the red sleeves just like Matthew Judon. Also, superstar development at 87 overall. So that is what the New England Patriots team looks like. But let's take a look around the rest of the league before we get into these year simulations to see just what every other team looks like. So obviously we know that our guy Cervetti is the #1 player on our team. It looks like the Raiders have a running back from Bama who is a 99 overall. Herschel Gates. He's wearing Josh Jacobs' number. Maybe he'll end up being better than Josh Jacobs. I don't know. The Rams don't have anybody that's super, super good. I mean, they have a middle linebacker who's a little bit of a veteran, Ray Hardner. Hardly know her. X-Factor linebacker. Maybe he can do something, but he is 32, so he's a little bit older. Plus, their quarterback is old, too, 34 years old, Jeff Matthew. The Ravens have Dontrell Swift, an X-Factor receiver, 6'1". What's his speed looking like? Only 90 speed. With the name Swift, I feel like you should have a little bit of a faster acceleration and speed, but whatever. Ooh, the Saints. They're going back to their heritage with 2 safeties who are big-time boys. Darnell Dawkins from East Texas Baptist, 6 foot, star development, 24 years old, 98 overall. He could be a problem. And then they also have Dalton Eskridge, who's a superstar safety. Very interesting, both in the high 90s. Mike Vickers, hardly know her, also a strong safety. Then they have two pretty decent receivers as well, so that's an interesting thing. Then we got the Steelers, who have a 97 outside linebacker, so I guess the Steelers, even in this alternate universe where there's no real players, they're always going to have an elite edge rusher and outside linebacker like Jeremy Hallow from Alabama A&M, 6'4". He's got a little bit of a rat tail, if you can see above my camera. He's got a little bit of a rat tail there, but he is an X-Factor wearing number 96. Very interesting Steelers. They could be good. Auden Vea, a left tackle, the first offensive lineman we've seen at the top of a team. Very interesting there from North Dakota. Then we've got the Titans. Corey Dixon is the starting free safety for them at 92 overall. Then you've got Brett Townsend, a rookie from LSU. Only normal development at 6'4", 238, 89 overall. Very interesting. The Vikings have B. Diddy Gale. B. Diddy Gale, 23 years old, 94 overall X-Factor from Kansas. I like the name. The rest of the NFL with all these fictional characters are pretty interesting. It looks like we've got some studs, we've got some up-and-comers, we've got some kind of mid-players. I don't know. This is going to be a very interesting little experiment to see in this alternate universe. Are there going to be any dynasties? Are there going to be any Hall of Fame level players? Now, obviously, we're not going to figure out if there are going to be any Hall of Fame players because we're only going about 3 years. But maybe we'll see a start, a beginning of a path to a Hall of Fame career. I don't know. It's going to be very, very interesting to see. I'm very intrigued. I like some of these names, too. There's some pretty good names. You got a guy named Brick Wall. It says on his birth certificate, the Wall family named their son Brick. Some of these names are pretty darn good, especially John McNichols. That's a great name. Oh, some of these names are pretty good. So you've kind of gotten the gist of what these rosters feel like, what these rosters look like. And maybe throughout the 3 years, we'll come across some people that we find that maybe become favorites or stuff like that. I don't know. It's hard to tell. But this first season, like I mentioned, I have no control over anything that the Patriots do or anything that the rest of the NFL does. So the Patriots can sign whoever they want. They can trade whoever they want. They can do whatever they want. All we're doing is kind of like a fly on the wall, little spectator to this alternate universe of the NFL. And we're going to see within these 3 years how much it changes, or if it's basically like a parallel universe where basically everything's the same. It's just involving different people. Like, are we going to find the Chiefs still are as dominant as ever? Are the Cowboys always making it to the Super Bowl in the simulations? We're going to see if the stuff is the same or if it's severely different. I don't know. I'm very curious to find out. If you guys are excited for this new alternate universe of the NFL and you want to see more of it, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, join the Juice Club, and let's start simulating. I will see you guys at the end of year number 1. Okay, so in this first simulation, the first year, the Patriots finished 8-9 and finished second in the division behind the Bills, who finished at 12-5. So it looks like the Patriots aren't necessarily that great in this universe, but hey, that is what it is sometimes. Sometimes the Patriots just can't catch a break. But let's take a look at the numbers from around the league. Since we don't really care about one specific team, we care about the entirety of the league. So the Buffalo Bills quarterback Matt Crawford almost threw for 6,000 yards in a single season with 40 touchdowns and 16 interceptions. Although I think that KJ Black's season is significantly better. Yeah, he threw for a few hundred yards less than what Crawford threw for, but he threw for the same amount of touchdowns, and he threw for significantly less interceptions. So I think that KJ Black's year is much better comparatively to what Crawford threw for. And he only was 1% less in his completion percentage. So I think, and he had a better passer rating consistently in the season. So, I mean, his yards per game weren't the same, but that's just because the Buffalo Bill playbook is a lot better for quarterbacks than the Bengal playbook is. So I think that KJ Black's season was pretty good. Tim Payton was third in yards. He had a pretty good season as well, maybe even better than the two of these guys. Like, if Tim Payton's interception number was about as low as KJ Black's, he probably would have the best season because he threw for the most yards, they threw for the same amount of touchdowns, and he did throw for less interceptions than Crawford did. It's a little bit of a debate. There's the Patriot quarterback. He had a really, really good year. The Charger quarterback Chester Andrews had also a pretty decent year. Who was the touchdown leader? It was 41 with James Wilson Jr., who also threw for 4,600 yards. The interception leader was Brett Thompson, a rookie from LSU. We talked about him a little bit, I think. Oh, no. There was another LSU quarterback that we talked about, I think. But he threw for 18 interceptions, so he led the NFL with interceptions. The rushing leader was Herschel Gates. I think we all kind of guessed that Herschel Gates was going to be the leader. He just was the best running back, and he's just the most talented, I think. 1,800 yards is insane. 27 touchdowns is insane, and he averaged 107 per game. He averaged per carry 6.4, which is unreal. Absolutely unreal. Eric Presley, the rookie from TCU, got 1,600 yards, 12 touchdowns. The Eagles running back McGarry had 1,500 yards and 18 touchdowns. Nathaniel Watt, 1,500 yards, 19 touchdowns. Emmett Pace, 1,400 yards, 15 touchdowns. Some pretty good numbers from the running backs. The leader was obviously Herschel Gates. No surprises there. Receiving leaders, John McNichols, baby. Not surprised whatsoever that he led the NFL with receiving yards, 1,608 touchdowns. Yadni Gainwell had 1,500 yards and 14 touchdowns. There's our guy, Aaron Servette. He had 1,300 yards and 13 touchdowns. This Patriots team just on defense I don't think is that great, so they're probably going to struggle a little bit. We'll see how they do in the free agency periods, but some interesting numbers here. Was there anybody that had like crazy amounts of receiving yards or receiving catches? No, it was just John with 120. I mean, that's pretty good, but nothing like out of the ordinary. I was thinking maybe like in the 180s, 190s. 17 touchdowns for Cedric Hollins led the NFL. Daquan had 16. Tyler had 15. Gainwell had 14. Okay. Was there anybody that like gave up a ton of sacks? This left tackle for the Panthers gave up 22. Okay. Defensively, here's the good stuff. 157 tackles from DeMarco Roberts. 142 from Tyler Clapp. Devin Leotard? I don't know how to pronounce that name. I don't know what I should pronounce it as, but he had 141 tackles. Good for him. Jeremiah Owens had 141. A lot of guys were putting up a lot of tackles. It's a lot of middle linebackers, as I would expect. They usually get the most amount of tackles. Tackle for loss was the Steelers' right end, 23 for him. Then you got 22, 21, a couple 21s, 19s. Sack leader with 22.5 was the 49ers' Tim Gano with 22.5. Andrew Wilkins also had 20.5, so he had a pretty good year as well. Collins had 18.5. Hollow had 18. Pretty good season from him. 60.5 from Jabal Macy. Interception leader was Tyler Clapp. So the middle linebacker had 142 tackles, a sack, and 6 interceptions. That's a really, really good season from him. Corey Lofton with 5. A lot of guys with 5. Some corners, some safeties, some linebackers. Good mix of both. What is this? Goal line coach? I didn't even notice this guy. The third Bosa brother, Nsimba Bosa. Goal line coach. No, goal line gooch. Gooch. I thought that said coach for a sec. I need to clean my glasses. Goal line gooch. That's a legendary name right there. That is an all-time Hall of Fame level name. Goal line gooch. Gooch. Great name. Great freaking name. And then some kicking stuff. Anybody go perfect? It doesn't look like it. No, this guy was one off of going perfect. What was the longest kick in the league? It was a 57-yarder. So nothing absolutely insane. But now here is the main point of the entirety of the video, basically, is to see if this alternate universe is going to end up being completely different than the normal Madden world, the normal NFL world, or if it's going to be a parallel universe where they're basically the same, just with slight differences. And the parallel universe could end up being if we get similar teams being in the Super Bowl, and it looks like the Titans and the Buccaneers are going to be in the Super Bowl this year. A very interesting Super Bowl. Here's the playoff bracket. The teams that you can't see right now are the 49ers and the Cowboys. That's what my camera is covering. So the Eagles were the 1 seed. No surprise there. They had a lot of their offensive guys in the top of the league. The Raiders got the first round bye in the AFC side of things. Nothing really too surprising here. No teams that are out of the ordinary, I wouldn't think. I mean, maybe the Falcons, you could say, for the NFC side of things. But in the AFC, I guess the Titans would be the only one that'd be out of the ordinary, but a lot of these teams make the playoffs in Madden simulations more times than not. And the Titans do make the playoffs a lot in Madden simulations, but I guess you'd say the Chiefs being the 5 seeds kind of out of the ordinary, but other than that, it's not super, super different so far in year number 1. But that's where we're just getting started, because we still got 2 more years of simulation data to take care of. So, season recap, the Titans won the Super Bowl. Eric Presley is your MVP. The Bills quarterback, Matt Crawford, wins the MVP of the league. Herschel Gates and Tim Gano are the offensive defense players of the year. And Eric Presley of the Titans and Devin, the guy that I can't pronounce his last name, of the Jaguars, the middle linebacker, he has won Defensive Rookie of the Year. So those are your season recap stuff for Season 1. Now here's the interesting part, because remember, we have no control. I'm not going to decide what the Patriots do. We're basically just a fly on the wall here. So if they want to go out and spend a ton of money, they got what, like $30-something million in cap space. If they want to go out and spend a ton of money, they can feel free. They can do whatever they want. They got $39 million. Do whatever the heck you want to do. We are going to simulate to the draft, and we're going to see kind of what happens, how this team shakes up, if there's going to be any forming of super teams. I don't know. I don't know what the contract structure looks like for these fake players. So I don't know if the free agent class was going to be stacked or if it was just going to be buns. I have no idea. I don't know if it was going to be cheeks. It could have been. It could very well be cheeks. That's for sure. Or it could have been godly. It's all a mystery because I didn't see what the contract structure looked like for some of the big name players. I don't know if they were under huge, massive franchise contracts or if they were under like 1 or 2 year deals. I don't know. I have absolutely no idea, but we can simulate the draft and we can get moving to season number 2. Season number dos Vidania. I wonder if this draft class had any significant, like, amazing players in it. It looks like the Patriots didn't really get better on defense, which is probably why they're probably not going to be in the playoffs much, but they drafted a free safety in the first round. He's a 74 overall. Okay. Was there anybody in this class that was, like, amazing? Was it a good class? An 82 overall tight end, maybe generational. Good for him. Good for him. The Jets got him with the 7th pick. Who was the number 1 overall pick? It was a quarterback. Larry Westbrook ends up being a 75 overall. So Seahawks kind of fumbled the bag there a little bit, I guess you could say. Maybe. I don't know. That's kind of tough to decide. I guess we'll see if he develops in these next 2 seasons. It's going to be tough because obviously he's not going to have a lot of time, but the Patriots defense actually got a lot worse. They're 73 overall now, and everything's on auto, so this is all up to them. They can choose what to do, and they just didn't really do anything with the money they had. They didn't have a ton of money, but they didn't really do much with the money that they had. The offense still looks pretty good. They lost their left guard, it looks like. But other than that, everything is pretty much the same for the boys. And now we'll take a look and see if we notice anything different around the league. It looks like this running back got better slightly. Is there anybody that we noticed got changed teams? I don't think any of these guys changed teams. If we go to the salaries, if we go to team salaries, I think we can take a look at some of these contracts. Yeah, so if we go around the league, it looks like a lot of these guys are locked down for big time contracts. So pretty much free agency is not going to be anything special because a lot of the good guys are locked down for decent amounts of time. I mean, look at this. Some of these guys are locked down for 6 years, 5 years, 4 years. They got big contracts. So free agency for these next 2 years is not going to be that significant. So we're not missing out too much on that. But we're going to simulate year number 2. We're going to see if the Titans can create a little bit of a dynasty, or maybe the Bucks. They were in the Super Bowl too, so we'll find out. I will see you guys at the end of year number 2. We got to the playoffs of year number 2, and the Bills win the division again, and the Patriots keep falling down. They stay consistent. They were 9-8 again for the second year, but this time the Dolphins jumped us and finished second with 10-7 record. Let's take a look around the league, see if we get to see some familiar faces leading the top of the NFL here. So the Cowboy quarterback Darnold Jones led the league with 5,200 yards. So it looks like this year was a little bit lackluster in terms of passing. I mean, the guy for the Bills who won the MVP last year threw for 5,900 yards in season 1. 47 touchdowns, 13 picks. Jalen Kennedy, the quarterback for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who lost in the Super Bowl, had 5,200 yards, 35 touchdowns. Jesse Rivers, 5,100 yards. There's the defending MVP, Matt Crawford. We'll see if the Bills can get to the Super Bowl this year with him as the quarterback. I don't know. We're seeing a couple of the similar names, but a lot of new names at the top of this list in terms of passing. Who led the league in passing touchdowns? It was the Cowboy quarterback by a decent margin, too. And then the interception leader was, unfortunately, tied with our quarterback, McClendon. That's not a great sign. Rushing leader was Herschel Gates. Again, no surprises there. And it looks like the usual suspects are up here at the top for the running backs. It seems like running backs are a little bit more consistent than the quarterback position in this alternate universe, although this dude from the Dolphins had 26 touchdowns. I think last year Gates had 27, so that's pretty good. He also averaged 6.2 yards a game, or yards per carry again, which is pretty darn crazy. He's averaging 6 yards per carry in a season. That is a fantastic season from Gates. The receiving leaders is a lot of new guys. There's John, who led the league last year, but not this year. 1,700 yards for Zach Dossett with 18 touchdowns as well. Relic Jeffers came in second, but it's a lot of new names again. There's a couple of ones that we saw last year, like B. Diddy and who else? This guy, Tay Levitz, and Yodney Gainwell was up there last year, and Ja'Cory Crispy was up there. So there were some guys up there, but a couple new names like Jeffers and Dossett, and Drew and Schobert. So there's some mix of both in the wide receiver room. Then defensively, a new top tackle leader, Treadwell Johnson, 151 tackles for him. Robert Gallup II had 145. There's not really anybody that was up here last year except for who was up here? There was somebody that I just saw. Maybe I thought it wasn't. No, it looks like everybody at the top half is new from last year. There's Tyler Clapp, who led the league last year in tackles. I guess he just didn't have a great year this year. I don't know, but there's Jeremy Hallow. We remember him from last year. He had 20 tackles for loss. Then you've got sack leader Gabbert Miller from the Bills. The Bills could have a decent shot at winning a title this year. 26 sacks from him is crazy. There's Tim Gano. He won Defensive Player of the Year, I think, last year. 19.5 sacks for him. Bartowski had 17. Ngaku had 16.5. There's Jeremy Hollow again. Interception leader was tied. Lucas Devine had 7. So did Jalen King II. I think he's a 99 overall, so he should have a lot of interceptions. He's 6'2", big body, and he's a 99 overall, so he should be getting a lot of interceptions. Takahiti had 6 interceptions. Phillips had 5. A couple guys had 5. A couple guys had 4. Anybody went perfect this year? No, another guy had 94. A couple guys had 94. Lyle Hawk had 94%, only missing 1. Very interesting numbers again. There's a little bit of adjustments, some changes. You're seeing some consistency with like Herschel Gates. Obviously, we knew that he was going to be a stud. There's not really a shock that he's leading the league every year in all the categories. But the quarterback position was a little bit different, varying from this year from last year. The receiving position was a little different. The defense position, especially with the tackle leaders, I think every single position was pretty much different. And the Buffalo Bills do make the playoffs, or do make the Super Bowl this year. They have a chance to go and win a Super Bowl. So it looks like the Chiefs are not in the playoffs, or the Bengals. A lot of different stuff on the AFC side of things. The Bengals didn't make the playoffs. The Chiefs didn't make the playoffs. The Titans were the 2 seed this year, the defending champs, but they got bounced in the first round. So a lot of different teams. The Raiders, once again, were the 1 seed. They were the 1 seed last year, and they got bounced, I think, in the AFC title game last year by the Titans. Or maybe the divisional, I don't know. But they lost to the Jaguars this time. It's going to be Bills and Cowboys. Very, very interesting. So you're starting to see some consistency with like the Buccaneers, the Bills, the Raiders, the Titans. Those kind of teams are, at least in these first 2 years, kind of consistent in terms of who's going to be good. We're finding out who's going to be good, who's going to be bad. Season recap, the Cowboys beat the Bills. The Bills have a horrible track record in the Super Bowl, especially against the Cowboys. Unfortunate for them, but Darnold Jones, who led the league in led the league in passing yards this year, gets the Super Bowl MVP, and he does the double dip and wins the NFL League MVP. So congratulations to him. Cowboys had a fantastic year, and it looks like the Dolphins running back wins Offensive Player of the Year. The Bills defensive end Gabbert Miller wins Defensive Player of the Year. Jesse Rivers of the Lions wins Offensive Rookie of the Year, and Ross Saxton of the Texans wins Defensive Rookie of the Year. So we've had some interesting things happen in these first 2 years of simulation. I'm hoping that the Patriots do something here to make some kind of magic happen in this final season, but I don't see that happening whatsoever. But a guy can dream about his favorite team maybe making some noise. I mean, you've got a ton of money. You've got $70 million. You got to spend it somewhere. Get some help on defense. I think this offense is good enough to do some damage, but get some freaking help on defense and we can talk. We can have some conversations. But if you're just going to be doing this crap and you're just going to be sitting around playing with yourself, then we're not going to be able to do anything. We've only got 1 more year, so you got to make something happen. Simulating to the draft. I'm curious to see if we get like a Titans-Bills AFC title game next year, or if we get like a Raiders finally getting away from the slump they've been in, because they've been the 1 seed these past 2 years, but they haven't been able to do anything in the playoffs. Are we going to see a new champion in the NFC, or are the Cowboys going to dominate like they did this year? Because they won the Super Bowl, they got the Super Bowl MVP, and they got the NFL MVP, the league MVP. So, I mean, the Cowboys kind of just dominated the entire season. And they had the quarterback led the league in passing yards, and they just looked pretty dominant overall. So maybe the Cowboys are going to be the dominant team of this new era. I don't know. We'll find out. Patriots actually drafted a couple decent players there. That's good to know. Was there a stud in this class? No. Devontae Mayo was the highest rated player at 77. Who was the number 1 overall pick? Uh-oh. I'm scrolling for a little bit now. This is not promising for the number 1 overall pick. Where is he at? Did I pass him? I guess I just go up here. The number 1 overall pick was a right tackle who's a 72. Oh, I feel so bad for the Saints. He's 23 as well. Oh, that's such a horrible pick. Such a horrible pick for the Saints. Why would they do that? Why would they do that, man? That's such a bad pick. I mean, I understand if you need an offensive lineman, if you need a tackle, but you don't take him with the number 1 overall pick. That's never gone well. That's never gone well. let's take a final look around the league before we simulate the final year. And it looks like Emmett Pace has jumped up to the top player in the entire league. Good for him. Shaquille Wells, that's a new name. He's jumping in the top half. Tim Gano we know about. Darnell Dawkins we know about. There's Herschel Gates. Caesar Dobbins we talked a little bit about. James Wilson Jr.'s up here. He's the first quarterback on the list. There is Jalen King still at a 99. There's a lot of 99s in this league. There's a lot of 99s in this league, but we're going to simulate one more year, find out if there is any changes to the top guys that we kind of suspect are going to be there again. And we'll see what happens in this final year. I will see you guys at the end of year number 3. Okay, so this is the end of the final season, year number 3, and it looks like the Patriots just continued this downward spiral where we were second in the division in the first year, we were third in the division last year, and now we are fourth in the division, butt naked last place, 4 wins on the season. I promise you, I have everything on automated. So this is just them being bad at managing their roster. The Bills once again dominated the division. 15 wins is very good for them. They are the best team maybe in all of football. I don't know. I guess the Cowboys would have something to say about that since the Cowboys did beat the Bills in the Super Bowl. And there's the quarterback for the... Actually, that's a different quarterback. That's not the dude that won the MVP. Where did he go? What place is he at now? Where is the Bills' former quarterback? Did I say Brad Maddox? Oh, I thought that said Brad Maddox for a second. Where is the Bills' quarterback from the freaking couple of seasons? Where did he go? That's not the quarterback. I am ultra confused. I forget his name. I know if I see it, I'll remember it. But where did he go? He just disappeared? You just gone after you win an MVP in year number 1 and then you lose again in the Super Bowl and you just go away? You just couldn't handle it anymore? I don't see him anywhere so far. There's Jesse Rivers. He's had a pretty good year. There's James Wilson again. We recognize him. There's McClendon, our guy. Chester Andrews, we recognize. Some of these guys we don't know about because they're not really putting up numbers. Larry Westbrook, I remember. Scott Burke, kind of. Brett Townsend, Robert Joseph. I don't see the freaking dude's name. Maybe he just retired. I have no idea. It's a mystery. But their new quarterback jumped into the system and absolutely killed it. 5,400 yards, 45 touchdowns, 15 interceptions. There's the Super Bowl MVP, defending regular season MVP. Darnold Jones had another really, really good year. There's Jesse Rivers, Jet Carve. Some pretty good numbers there. The touchdown leader was Darnold Jones again. Interception leader was Brad Harris of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Then you got A.J. Jordan, Brett Thompson. Some interesting numbers here. Eric Presley leads the league in rushing yards. Congratulations to him. We knew that he was having a come-up. He looked pretty good. Terrence Clay Sr. had 1,900 yards as well. There he is, Herschel Gates. Kind of a down year. 1,600 yards, 6 yards per carry, 22 touchdowns. I mean, Herschel, we know you can be better than that. What are we doing here? 14 touchdowns, is that enough? It's not. Terrence Clay Sr. and Herschel Gates both tied with 22 touchdowns on the ground this year. There's McGarry again. He's always at the top half. There's Shaquille Wells, Caesar Dobbins, some of the guys that we have come to recognize here. And Relic Jeffers, I think he finished second last year, and he changed team too. He was on the Rams. I remember that. He was on the Rams last year. Now he's on Denver. And he, getting into the Denver system, leads the league in receiving yards. So I guess that that combination of the lack of air quality and the 420 ability in Denver got him to where he needed to be. 1,700 yards, 12 touchdowns. Gregory Ken, that's a new name. There's Zach Dossett. He led the league last year. He finishes third this year. Tutu Christian was up there. There's John McNichols. He's always been up. He's been pretty consistent, and I guess it's because the Bills have been pretty good. There's Aaron Servette, our guy. Receiving touchdowns was a tie with 3 different guys, Ken, Chestnut, and Scott. Very interesting, very, very interesting numbers from the the different people. Joey Schmiegel. No, that's not how you say that. Joey Smellage? 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 Maybe? I don't know. He tied with Kyle Hollins for 151 tackles, led the league. Rosebush had 150. Corey Lofton, 148. Man, this is a bunch. This is all new guys. Where are some of the guys that we came to recognize? There's Brick Wall, 131 tackles. Love Brick Wall. There's Nasimba Bosa, the third Bosa brother. There's Tyler Clapp. But where is, like, some of the guys that have led the league before? I don't really see any of them. There's the Rookie of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year from a couple of years ago. Huh, very interesting. They just kind of dropped off the face of the planet in this alternate universe. Maybe in this alternate universe, if you're not having a good year, the teams are allowed legally to just kill you. That could be a possibility. I don't know. This is an alternate universe. Rules are different. D. Nelson had 22 tackles for loss. Emmanuel Bentley had 21. So did Eddie Seiler. Jabal Macy had 18. Sack leaders. Andrew Wilkins, 27 sacks. So it seems like every year there's always one guy that has like 25 plus sacks in the season. Tim Gano is maybe the most consistent guy. Him and Jeremy Hollow, maybe the two most consistent guys in this entire simulation on defense. They've both been up here at the top half of both tackles and sacks for all 3 seasons. Some pretty good numbers for them. Interception leader was Deshaun Batson with 6, along with his teammates. So 2 Eagle corners both had 6 interceptions. That is no fly zone if I've ever seen one. Sheesh, that's crazy. Okay, Andy Cox had 5, so did a couple other guys as well. And they're, again, very interesting that I'm noticing a lot of the guys that were at the top half for the first 2 years are not up here again. This is all new guys for interceptions. That's very intriguing. I'm learning some stuff about Madden Simulation. We finally had some guys go perfect from the field this year. It's about time. We had about 4 guys, technically 2, because these guys actually kicked over 10. These 2 only kicked 1 and 2. But we finally had some guys go perfect, and somebody kicked a 58-yarder. Okay, that's pretty impressive. So let's get finding out who the 3rd Super Bowl winner is going to be. And then we will find out the MVP and all that kind of stuff. And then we'll wrap up this little video. This little alternate universe video. We'll get sucked back into our own universe. And we will go about our day like nothing ever happened. But I am curious to see who won this final Super Bowl. It's going to be the Rams and the Colts. So 2 completely different teams. The Bills were the 1 seed. The Raiders didn't even make the playoffs. So the Raiders go from being the 1 seed for 2 seasons in a row to not even making the playoffs. The Bills make the number 1 seed and don't get out of the first round, their first round. The Colts go from wild card to Super Bowl. The Ravens and Dolphins make it pretty consistently. The Chiefs are back in after missing last year. The Eagles get bumped in the first round. The Bucks get it to the NFC title game. They were in the Super Bowl in year number 1. They were in the first round elimination. Or no, I think they made it to the divisional round last year. And then they lose in the NFC title game this year. Man, this is some weird stuff. We're learning some things about Madden Simulation here. We are learning some things. I'm going to pull for the Colts because they're the Cinderella story, I guess you could say. They were the lowest seed. And then they are Super Bowl champions. Congratulations to the Indianapolis Colts. Your Super Bowl MVP is the corner that I'm not even going to begin to pronounce. Actually, I probably could. Okwegunbamahu. Okwegunbamahu. Okwegunbomahu. Sure, that's good enough. The Eagles quarterback Sean Presley wins the MVP of the league. So we had 3 different MVPs. Very, very interesting. Sean Presley also wins Offensive Player of the Year for the Eagles. Andrew Wilkins of the Buccaneers wins the Defensive Player of the Year. Daniel Love of the Eagles and Don Rucker of the Texans wins Defensive and Offensive Rookie of the Year. Eagles had a pretty good year, but they didn't even get to the Super Bowl or even the NFC title game. So very strange. It was Matt Crawford. That's who it was. That's the former Bills quarterback. I wonder where he went. He just kind of disappeared. So in our 3 years, the Titans made the Super Bowl in year number 1, beat the Bucks. In year number 2, the Bills get to the Super Bowl but fall to the Cowboys because the Cowboys were just so much better. And then the Colts go from wild card to Super Bowl champions in year number 3. And that's one thing I want to check. Did the Cowboys make the playoffs? Or did they just fall off the face of the earth too? I gotta check. Can I see a playoff bracket? I don't think I can now that we've passed the Super Bowl. Can I go to, if I go to schedule, did the Cowboys make the playoffs? The Cowboys didn't even make the playoffs. The Eagles were the 1 seed. But the Cowboys go from being a dominant team and making the Super Bowl and winning it to not even make the playoffs. This is such a weird simulation. So many weird things happen. The Raiders had the same thing happen to them. They were the number 1 seed for 2 years in a row, and then they just fall off the face of the earth. But that is going to do it for this little 3-year alternate universe simulation. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know down below any of your favorite fictional players that you may have come to know and love in this little 3-year simulation. I know I had some of my favorites. Brick Wall, one that comes to mind, one of my favorite guys. I also liked Herschel Gates from the Raiders, the running back, just because he was super, super dominant. But I had some favorites, so if you guys want to see more with this kind of style or with this roster in general, if maybe you want to see like a fantasy draft or you want to see like a little bit of a simulation with like me actually controlling and doing moves, doing trades, doing free agency, kind of a rebuild style, let me know if you want to see that kind of stuff in the future and maybe we'll get it done. But that is going to do it for me. Thank you guys so much for stopping by and watch. I truly appreciate it. If you enjoyed, leave it a like, subscribe to the channel, join the Juice Club, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.